Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday, January 17th, 2012, and even though I know you trust me, I should say that I have already paid my rent for the month of January. Yes! Important to bring up because, as you're noting, my light broke. It's broken. And it's not because I didn't pay the bills or something like that, but let me also point out that I have a floodlight here and a floodlight here, and we can turn them on and off for various dramatic effects. So, for instance, we can just do the intro with one light, where it's kind of like me at my study. We can even do a daily in the dark. Amnesia mode. All right, excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Day 9 Daily, number 402, where we learn to be a better gamer. It's Newbie Tuesday. Yeah! We've been missing out on Newbie Tuesday, and it's time to talk about one of the scariest topics of all, the late game. It's so scary, I'm going to turn the light on because my monitors are hurting my eyes. Cool. Here comes one. This is good. This is sort of like nice campfire daily lighting. Let's just keep it in this. It's a little bit sensual. I'm in the mood. Let's talk about that late game. In the early game, actually, apparently I want to talk about the early game. If you think about the way the early game goes, or even the way that players who have never played StarCraft 2 before, they don't even know the term early game, late game, mid game, they come into the game and they sit down and they say, well, what do I do? And then they play a little bit and they learn some of the basics. And what's that question that you hear asked so much? What's a good build order? What's my opener? What's my build? And it all begins at 0, at t equals 0, and we just have 6 workers. And a lot of the openings, people can wrap their head around because it's about those basic interactions. Here's a build order that gets you an expansion, some stalkers, and an observer. So that way you can get some economy. The stalkers are good against Hellions and Marines, which are ways he could open, and you get this observer out in time to fend off his Banshee. And someone would say that, for instance, going 4 gates and expanding and getting no robo, well, that's dangerous because he could end up getting a Banshee with cloak. These are the kinds of conversations we have. It's all about openings versus openings. And the problem with this train of thought is that after about a year to a year and a half, there can come a scary moment in gameplay where you get to a spot like what we have here, between Mr. Spoon and Badass, where you're in this position. I'm showing you the Protoss army, but look at these red dots. I haven't shown you what those are. Let's, in fact, suppose that we are Mr. Spoon himself, and we want to play from the Mr. Spoon cam. Look at this mini-map. This is kind of what we're seeing. What is our next step? What do we do? Should we be taking another expansion? Should we be attacking? If we had a build order on our side and we are somehow, I don't know, at the 4-minute mark, we would have a pretty damn good sense of what we want to do. I'm getting my 2nd base up now because it's part of my plan. I'm going for my 4th base now because it's part of my overall plan. But now we're getting 4th bases up, and generally people don't have plans for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th bases and all that sort of good jazz. And the late game is obviously not as simple as, let's just build armies and expand and stuff. So what we're going to take a look at today is 3 of your games submitted, and we're going to be examining periods in the late game quite a bit. We're not even going to look at the early game at all. We're not going to look at that in the slightest. We're going to talk about all those little snippets of time in the late game and sort of how we want to begin by progressing. For next week's Newbie Tuesday, we're going to be looking at extra special pro late game replays. So cool. See you this week. It's the pros next week. Excellent. Let's step into the game at around the 0-minute mark. Now, here's the screen that I want you to be aware of. There's one piece that's missing that many people are already typing in the chat. You see what's missing? This time right here. I specifically removed it because I'm a jerk. Because what I want to do is I want to go to this moment in the game right now. I've just zoomed ahead because I've already preloaded all these points in the replay. This is that point that I was looking at earlier on, where we're Mr. Spoon, and we are at some arbitrary point in the game. This is something that I think is so important to do, to just step in to a point in the game and say, how are we doing? Do we have the look of everything? Well, Mr. Spoon looks like he's getting up his fourth base. He has, looks like he has a pretty dang good amount of gateways. I'm counting 10. He has 2 of these robotics facilities. Wow, he's even getting Storm. He's getting his +2 armor. What are his upgrades like? +3, +1. All right. Now, I want you to sanity check. Does Mr. Spoon have everything that he wants to have? Is he missing something? This is actually an experience that my brother and I would have quite a lot when one of us would be at home watching a replay and the other one would come back. I am going to turn this light on. I can't see anything. We'd have this experience where I would come home and walk upstairs and I'd see Nick in a game and a conversation like this would happen where I'd go, ooh, wow, that's a really close game. And he's like, oh no, it's not close. The Terran player expanded way earlier than the Zerg player did. And that should give the advantage to the Terran player. But if we step in right now, I specifically remove this time because as you step in, you suddenly are not going to get polluted by all the stuff that happened earlier on. What if this Protoss player had all these 3 bases up after the Zerg player did a 6 pool? Does it matter? Does it actually have any meaning? No, we can examine the state right now and figure out where we're at. So that's cool. So I'm going to take a look at this. And are we missing anything? I already asked myself that. And I would say the answer, quite honestly, is no. I'm even going to go to the unit tab. This is a really, really nice composition. Not too many zealots as we're hitting maxed. Immortal, Colossus, Stalker count, all looks quite good. This is fantastic. Looks great to me. I'm not going to worry about the Zerg player here because we're going to be going through a couple of examples. We'll do a Zerg player as the next one, I believe. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to move up to this phase in the game. It's another little snippet in time. It's quite close. And again, look at this. This looks beautiful. Wall off here. Oh, we have some photon cannons. All right, cool. Everything seems to be in order. Ooh, even adding on more gateways while we're maxed. Sweet. Looks so far so good, right? Even one of my favorite things of all time. We're not even behind, and we're building a dark shrine. That is my kind of boy. Yeah. Now, I had a train of thought, and I'm going to try to find it. Where did my train of thought go? Ah, there we go. There we go. I know many experienced players have sent me many questions in my feedback box, which of course is feedback@day9.tv, where the game questions kind of revolve around this general theme of, well, what? I don't quite know what I should be going for. I don't really know how the look of things should be. One of the easiest things to do is to just close your eyes and imagine the absolute perfect, ideal looking base setup. And then compare it in these snapshots, not in motion, not when there's action going on. Ideally, if I'm Protoss, I would be on my way to 3-3 upgrades or done by now. Yeah! Ideally, I would have a crap ton of gateways. Yeah! We can just start fantasizing about all these various things. And so far, the fantasy seems to match. Everything seems to be quite good. I'm actually going to come to the Mr. Spoon cam. Now, I'm actually going to be zooming farther ahead. Now, how are we doing right now? Are we winning? Are we losing? Well, I would just look up at this food count and notice that Zerg used to be maxed. He's not maxed anymore. Things still look pretty reasonable. It looks like we're building a bunch of Stargates. I maybe would assume that we got some Void Rays. And now, all of a sudden we're here. Whoa. This is where we can actually begin to start asking ourselves questions in the late game. What's kind of nice actually about the replay viewer is that it restricts you to only being able to zoom around in 3-minute chunks. Everything that I've shown you right now is like at 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33 minutes. So we can jump around until we find, okay, here at 33 minutes, oh, this looks kind of close. Or excuse me, at 30 minutes it looks kind of close, and at 33 minutes, ooh, ugh. All right, and then we go to 36 minutes, and suddenly we look We're looking a little bit scrambly. It still looks like we're behind. 39 minutes. Oh, well, we're building Dark Templars, so we're doing great. Yeah, I'd actually label Protoss as being totally screwed. And something really bad happened between that 36 and 33 minute mark. So, right here, oh no, oh, looking a little bit, but wow, this is a drastically different army composition. And here at the 45 minute mark, so we won somehow. Amazingly, Protoss is about to win. Do you see how the game has a vastly different flavor? When I look at it every 3 minutes, how big of a change ends up happening. In the early game, 3 minutes is a tremendous amount of time. In the late game, it's still a pretty damn good amount of time, but things shouldn't be changing as drastically as they do in the early game. So when we come back here, we're actually going to begin hitting the play button and stepping into motion with sound, of course. And it's at points like these where we come to this 30-minute mark and things were looking so good. And then at the 33-minute mark, things were looking so bad. And obviously, cool, we're going to come back here and we're going to try to find out what seemed to sort of go a little bit right and wrong. What I'm doing right now is introducing the absolute most ridiculous basic of all basics, which is what I call finding the key point of a game in the late game. Let me also highlight, in early game, key points are pretty darn easy to feel, right? He got Dark Templar, I did not have detection. Ah, that's the point I lost, is when the DTs arrived. I tried to run Hellions up his ramp, but he apparently walled the top of his ramp off and I lost all my Hellions. Yeah! Huge swings where you die like 2 seconds later. In the late game, though, this is the key moment when our food really started to change, so what I want to do is focus in on that. And we're not just going to do as simple a question as, oh, this seems to be the battle where we lost derp, derp, derp. We're not just going to limit ourselves to that kind of discussion. But we still want to be able to look and identify it. And it's pretty simple. It's just an attack that went south. We charged up against the Broodlords, and it was no problem. Excellent. We built a lot of gateways, but we did not have nearly enough money. Yeah, you know, I think we maybe overbuilt gateways a little bit. A lot. Maybe overbuilt these production structures a little bit. And you can get this, again, from this every 3-minute analysis. Everything's looking great right here. Everything's looking a little bit off right now. But, you know, this transition to Void Rays, it looks like it barely managed to save us. So, obviously, because roaches aren't so good at shooting up. I'm having the hardest time focusing today. I'm like so tempted to just restart this whole daily. My brain. Why couldn't it be the same as it was on Fun Day Monday? Alright. Come on, Day 9. Let's do this. Alright, 22 gateways, too many. Excellent point, Day 9. Good. Perfect. So, what I want to start doing at this point in time is, obviously that battle went a little bit south, and I'm looking at just units right now. I'm doing just that basic unit analysis of how is my stuff stacking up against his stuff. But something that Mr. Spoon does this game very, very well is his expansion timings. I'm actually going to be a nice gentleman, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the replay timer back on, so that way we can get some benchmarks for how the expand timing ends up going. We're at 20 minutes right now, 21 minutes, and look what happens as I step to 24. We have an expansion that is up now, and it seems like every 3 minutes there's a good amount of progress that gets made towards those expansions. Oh, look, another 3 minutes passed. This one's going to die. Another 3 minutes passed. Cool, we end up reestablishing it. And in terms of taking those expansions and where... Damn it, you know what? I'm going to restart this daily. Fuck, I'm so annoyed at myself. Oh, God, I'm tilting. Guys, I'm tilting. You know what? I'm just going to choose an entirely different replay to do. Because for some reason my brain is not firing. I'm tilting so bad. Guys, listen to me. I don't give a shit. I screw up daily sometimes. It's fine. I don't care. God, that is the latest restart I've ever done. I've never restarted almost through one full part. Ugh. Oh, God, I just can't. My brain. I told you beforehand it was going to be one of those days, man. Ugh. Oh, God. Fuck. Crap. Ah. I wasn't saying anything. I wasn't saying jack. You know what? Let me get self-reflective here for a moment. Obviously, it's very easy to view me as a guy who's just spouting out information, almost like I'm an NPC in a video game or something. And you're sitting there and you're watching me, and it's just like, well, that line of dialogue wasn't very well written, as though I was designed that way, as though I just sort of spouted out. But you know what? When I am not making a clear point, I can tell. I'm hearing the words come out of my mouth, and I'm like, wow, that actually doesn't mean anything. And then I think, don't worry, Sean, you'll find something useful to say really soon. And you know what happens? Nothing. This is what I'm going to do. Fuck that game. You know what? That game sucks. That actually was a really good example of a pretty damn solid expanding late game. And that's one of the reasons why I selected it for this daily. Cool. I think probably wasn't the best idea to show it first. I'm going to show this other game from Flankzilla. Whew. I got this. I'm gonna go in a honey badger mode. I'm gonna honey badger this daily. Oh, God. Oh, man, was that terrible. Wow. Fun day Tuesday. All right. Woo! Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the fact that I am nowhere near perfect. Woo! Excellent. All right, we're going to take a brief break. Just listen to this music. The music's pre-recorded. It can't fuck up. Don't worry. We'll be back soon enough. Oh, God. Oh, that stunk. Oh, it was so bad. All right, I'll be back.